we at in baseball, man? We just had the Giants-Dodgers series finish last night in a crazy game. That definitely was not a strike. He definitely checked his swing, Wilmer Flores. But, you know, it is what it is. So the Dodgers advanced. They're going to take on my Braves. I did pick Braves-Giants, but it's Braves-Dodgers. But I'm staying with my Braves. I think I'm hyped for this series. I actually bet this guy at my job today $50 on the series. This kid Ryan comes walking by. He's like, "Yo, how about the Dodgers last night?" And you know me, first thing I said, "They're gonna lose, bro. The Braves are beating them." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, what?" Like he was like on some hype Dodgers, I guess, because they won the World Series last year, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, the Dodgers." Like he was all hype. And he's a Yankee fan, so I don't know what that was about. So as soon as I felt that energy, I said, "I'm like, Braves gonna beat him." He's like, "What?" I said, "You want to bet on it?" He's like, "All right." I'm like, 50, done.
Just leading them in, right?
Yeah, just reeling them in, baby. So I got 50.
Hey, I've never played this game before. teach me how to play this.
So Braves rolling with the Braves Dodgers, a repeat of last year's NLCS, which was a banging series. The Braves blew the series, by the way, up 3-1, end up losing in 7. So retribution is needed. I just like where the Braves are right now. The way they're playing, the hitting's timely. You feel like it's going to come through. The pitching's been great, and hopefully it can continue. The Dodgers, you know, they've got the studs. Scherzer's been all world in this series, all over the place. Pitching game 1, pitching game 4, coming out the pen in game 5. You know, he's Scherzer. He's a beast. Pitched the 9th inning, but so the Dodgers got a little stretched out by the Giants, where the Braves didn't. So we'll see if maybe the Braves have an advantage in game 1. But, so we got 2 really good series. My Stros and my Braves are still in it. Hopefully they can both win and play in the World Series, and I won't know who to root for. So that'll be fun.
You would take the Braves?
I mean, probably, yeah, it's hard for me to root against the Stros or the Braves. It'd be a very funny series for me to watch. I just kind of be like, wow, this is great. I feel like both teams won. Nah. But, baseball's hot right now. I think Stros Red Sox is going to be a 7-game banger with good run-scoring games, a lot of scoring, which I love. And they're going to be 2 really good series. So game 1 tonight, I think the Stros are up 1-0 in the 3rd inning. And I think Braves-Dodgers is tomorrow night. Got a fight on tonight, Ant.
Oh, it's fighting.
Yeah, nice little low-key scrap tonight. We got WBO featherweight champion Emmanuel Navarrete, one of my favorite fighters in the world, by the way. I love this guy. True Mexican style, awkward, super awkward pressure fighter, true Mexican style. And he's so awkward, like you don't even know where the punches are coming from with Navarrete. And he's got like this sweeping hook that looks like it takes so long to get to you, but he smashes you with it. So, Navarrete's just a very interesting fighter. You're not going to see guys fight like him. So that's why I like Navarrete a lot. He's a very unique, awkward Mexican pressure fighter against Joey Gonzalez, who's a pretty good, responsible, solid fighter. You know, good jab, moves decent. He's like a very good, solid, all-around fighter. Got a little bit of power against certain guys. Nice little moves around the ring pretty good. 1-2. He's a solid guy. Capable guy. I think his only loss is to Shakur Stevenson, who has his big fight, not this weekend, but next weekend. So, but yeah, Navarrete, for any of you boxing fans out there, want to watch the fight tonight on ESPN Plus. He's a fun guy to watch, Navarrete. You're not going to see that style from anybody else. Very rangy, long, loopy punches, but a lot of punches, and he'll jab you, and he just keeps coming. Like you got to really put some thumping on him to slow him down, because if not, he's just going to keep coming and coming and coming. He's relentless. So I love fighters like that. I love pressure fighters who are just relentless.
Who else is on the card? Anybody?
I don't even know. That's the fight. Yeah, Navarrete and Gonzalez, good one.
You like Navarrete?
Yeah, I always like Navarrete. It's Navarrete versus everybody for me, especially at featherweight. He won. He was the WBO champion at Super Bantam. Now he's the WBO champion at featherweight. He's kind of following, I feel like, that Zurdo Ramirez path of maybe being stuck. It seems like nobody in the division wants to fight this guy. In fact, I'm going to get a quick story. When he was at 122, he was the WBO champ, and Ray Vargas was the WBC champ, and he was with Golden Boy, and Navarrete's with Top Rank and Aram, and they do fights together. Like Oscar and Bob, they will collab their fighters for unification. Honestly, Ray Vargas left for PBC in the middle of those negotiations. He had all of a sudden somehow just signed with the PBC, and then they're not going to do the unification. That's how big of a duck that was. That's how much I feel like had something to do with Vargas. All of a sudden, they're negotiating a unification. The next thing you know, this guy switched promotions in the middle of it. So that Navarrete's tough, man. People are going to talk shit, but they don't really want to fight Navarrete. Believe that.
Those featherweight fights too, man. Those guys don't have his
They bang.
They bang out.
Yeah. But so that's gonna be a good one. Let's get to the college football week 7, y'all.
We're halfway there.
Yeah, we're halfway there. Things are getting things are getting interesting. The cream is starting to rise to the top, and we got an interesting top 3 coming into the season. Even though you can see it coming from last year, but most people would never thought this. But the top 3 is Georgia, Iowa, and Cincinnati. Tell me who would have bet on that before the year. Those are the top 3. Not like those teams are bad, but when you have a top 3 and there's no Alabama, no Clemson, no Ohio State, and no Oklahoma, you're like, okay, ooh, it's something different. So that's the top 3 right now. And so it's been a fun season so far. Something new. I had a theory on this. Now we're gonna get into some critical sports theory right now. One of the theories I had where I knew that the big teams were gonna get upset this year, and I think I told you about this, was they gave everybody a COVID year. So what they did in college football this year was they didn't count last year towards your graduation. So if you were a junior last year, you could be a junior again this year. If you were, for upperclassmen, if you were a senior last year, you could come back for another senior year. They didn't count last year towards your graduation. So that's why we were talking about the super seniors. Remember we were talking about that? Now, how this impacts the teams, and I've been thinking about this for weeks. The big teams, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the Bamas, the teams that get a lot of NFL players, the LSUs, even the Miami Hurricanes, all those teams, the Michigans, they have guys that are going to leave regardless of the super seniors. So their top older classmen, if they were NFL ready, they were going, or even close to that. They're going to the NFL. So it doesn't even matter if they get that extra year back for a lot of those top level guys. But then for me, it impacted the teams in the mid-level who have starters who were maybe fringe NFL prospects, like undrafted, maybe 7th round guys, or guys who weren't even going to be drafted. Maybe CFL guys or other guys from smaller leagues or whatever, or arena. But those guys had an opportunity to come back this year and play an extra year. So basically, those mid-ranging teams, like say a Minnesota or a Purdue, where they have a player who's a good player who is going to graduate, those guys are coming back to Purdue this year, whereas the guys from the bigger teams, they were going to leave anyway. So they lost those guys. Where these teams, say like a left guard, who's a very good player, maybe like third team all conference, but not really a pro prospect. He came back for his super senior year, instead of having a young guy take that position for these mid-range teams. Where now all of a sudden you got a freshman or sophomore starting with no experience, you get to keep your veteran and have other guys go. So it kind of beefed up those middle teams that like have good players but not necessarily NFL players. Those guys came back. So those teams stayed solid. And you saw it on a lot of these teams where it helped. Plus the transfer portal. So guys had no restrictions in the transfer portal. So guys were able to just go everywhere. Teams were plucking guys out of the transfer portal. There was a lot of movement in college football. So that's what caused this, like, where you don't have your stud teams kind of came back to the pack a little bit this year. The other teams around them got a little stronger. So that's why it's a very interesting season. It's the COVID effect in college football this year, and it's showing. Just look at the top three.
So it's giving those mid-tier
A
teams
better
that
chance.
big push
Yes.
so they can compete with the blue bloods
Yes.
and all that shit.
So instead of like their middle linebacker, his senior year, he's done. He graduates the word. Instead of him graduating,
He's got an extra year to
he
play
can
ball.
come back, and he's not an NFL prospect, but he's a good college football player. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys like that. So those guys get an extra year to play, and it keeps the teams more solid. Because a lot of times those teams lose like good solid players, and then they have a inexperienced underclassman step in, and they struggle. So it keeps it. That's where they get a little of a boost this year. So it's good. First game I'm looking at is tonight. We got a nice game tonight, 10:30 game out in Oregon. In Eugene, the Ducks of Oregon hosting Cal. Now, Oregon's 4-1, Cal's 1-4. And you think Oregon's at home. They're only a 13.5-point favorite. Cal's coming in. Now, Cal's 1-4, but they haven't played bad. They played actually some pretty tough games and lost on the road. At TCU and at Washington, they lost by 6 points in overtime to Washington and by 2 on the road at TCU. They have a veteran quarterback in Chase Garbers. The defense is solid. It's not bad. I'm taking the Cal Bears tonight, plus 13.5 at Oregon. I don't think they're going to win, but I just feel like they're going to hang in the game and cover the points tonight. They're a solid club. Oh, nice play. Nice play in the Red Sox game, by the way. This Kike Hernandez just made a great catch. Ooh, look at that.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that was dun-dun-dun. Right there. That's what that was. Nice catch. So I'm going there. So now let's move to high noon tomorrow. High noon, brother. I'm looking at this Nebraska-Minnesota game. Nebraska, they're that team that scares the better teams in the conference but can't beat them. They've been inconsistent. I love Adrian Martinez as a quarterback. He's a great dual threat. I think he's a pro player, maybe not even as a quarterback. He's a good enough athlete to be a receiver or a safety in the NFL. But I don't see how you can how Nebraska can be a 4.5-point favorite at Minnesota. Nebraska has not really outplayed Minnesota this year. So why they're a 4.5-point favorite on the road? I know Minnesota lost another running back in Potts, so their top 2 backs are basically out for the season. But you know what? Minnesota will always have a good back behind them. Like they get good running backs. So the third guy is probably pretty good. And now he's going to get an opportunity. I don't see that much of a fall. If I really like Minnesota's quarterback too, Tanner Morgan is a solid quarterback and possibly a third-day draft pick for the NFL. I've got to take the Gophers at home and getting 4.5. Nebraska's just too I could see either one team winning this game, but why not just take the 4.5 points instead of laying it? So I'm taking the 4.5. I'm probably going to end up taking Minnesota plus 160 some money line action on this game too. Minnesota could just win. I also like over 49 in this game. I think both teams are going to put some points on the board. For sure. So I'm all over Minnesota and the over against Nebraska. Another game at 12 o'clock. Low-key, another Big Ten game. Rutgers goes to Northwestern, to Evanston. And they're a 2-point favorite over Northwestern. Now, Rutgers has played better this year. Northwestern has struggled this year. But over the last 5-10 years, Northwestern's been a much better team than Rutgers. And Northwestern recently has started to come back and it started to play better recently. Rutgers has started to fade a little bit recently. Rutgers laying 2 at Northwestern, they're not ready for that, to be that team. Not against Patty Fitz and the Northwestern Wildcats, not against one of his teams. I'm taking Northwestern and the 2 points at home against Rutgers. I'm going to take the plus 110 too because it's 2 points. So why not just take the plus money on this one? Take Northwestern at home getting points against Rutgers. So I don't know if I'm ready for Rutgers to be a favorite on the road in a Big Ten game. Not this week. Sorry. You know. So that there goes that. Now moving along. Just looking at the. Oh, here we go. This is a tough game, but a game I need to touch on. In the Big 12, we got Oklahoma State going to Texas. Oklahoma State is still undefeated, and I think number 11 in the country. Texas just lost their second game of the year, but they played a great game against Oklahoma and just blew it 55-48. That was maybe one of the best games of the season. The Oklahoma-Texas game was nuts last week. One of the best games of the year. Texas blew that game. I think they come back and play well. I don't think they're going to fold up. I think Oklahoma State is a team they respect. They're undefeated. I think they'll be able to get refocused for Oklahoma State. But there's something to Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders, who I like their quarterback, he hasn't even played well yet this year, and they're 6-0. So they've been flying way under the radar, Oklahoma State. This is the game this week where they win outright against the Texas Longhorns, and they get a little buzz going. Oklahoma State undefeated, flying way under the radar. They get a little above that radar this week. They're going to go to Texas and getting 3.5. I'm taking the points, and I'm taking the money line on the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Oklahoma State. In a battle of two teams with nice uniforms in the Big 12, Oklahoma State and Texas. I just think Thompson showed last week that he can't make big throws in tight spots in the second half. Like, he's not ready for that clutch moment. I think Oklahoma State's quarterback Spencer Sanders is he's had more games under his belt, and I think he's more equipped for late game heroics. I love Texas running back Bijan Robinson. He's unbelievable. I did pick Texas last week to beat Oklahoma. He was amazing, but the defense couldn't hold it. Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, the Pokes, plus 3.5, and the money line. Moving forward, Anthony, what do you think about this? I know you remember the two teams lost that week, Auburn and Arkansas.
What about them?
Remember Auburn lost to no, that was Arkansas. It was Arkansas and Ole Miss. Arkansas, remember they got shut out by Georgia?
Yes.
Then last week they lost by 1 at Ole Miss in a crazy game, 52-51.
Who are they playing this week?
Now they're playing Auburn. And Auburn's another team that got smacked by Georgia, but who didn't get smacked by Georgia? So that really is not even, I can't use that against either one of these teams that got smacked by Georgia. You know what I mean? Like,
Georgia's defense is sick.
yeah. This is a shiesty game. Arkansas 4.5 at home against Auburn. Arkansas is starting to show that they are a multi-dimensional team. They can throw it. They can run it. Auburn's still weird. Sometimes they can throw it. They can mostly run it. I think the Hogs, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I'm going to skip that game. Stay away. There's no feel. There's no, let's go to this game. Here we go. 3:30. Pitt at Virginia Tech. Pitt is a 5-point favorite at Virginia Tech. And this is not a bad Virginia Tech team. They have a close loss at West Virginia. They have a close loss at home to Notre Dame. It was a very good team. So they're a good, solid Virginia Tech team. So you're thinking, why is Pitt a 5-point favorite on the road? Because Pitt is explosive, and I'm very high on Kenny Pickett, their quarterback. I have him actually as the number 2 quarterback for the NFL draft out of all college-eligible quarterbacks. I've been watching Kenny Pickett for 5 years. I knew he was talented, but he's really coming around to he's showing me who he really could be, and I'm impressed with Kenny Pickett. I think Pitt's got a great offense, and I think Pitt covers the 5 and wins at VTech. Lay the 5. I said they win by a touchdown, 31-24, something like that. Virginia Tech's defense is good against the pass, but I just think Pickett is going to show he's clearly a better player than VTech's quarterback. And I think Pitt wins on the road by 7 at in Blacksburg, which we know is not an easy place to play. Now we got another interesting game here. Now, 2 weeks in a row, BYU's been in some very interesting games. Last week they hosted Boise and lost. So, and I feel like this game this week is similar to that game. Now BYU is in the Boise kind of driver's seat. They're going on the road to Baylor, who just, I think Baylor's only losses to Oklahoma State. They've been playing good football at home, but I'm not sold on this Baylor team though. I think that the quarterback is, he throws it good sometimes he doesn't. BYU's a very high IQ football team. On the road, they can handle situations on the road. They're getting 5.5 at Baylor. I'm taking the points, and I'm probably going to put a little money line action in there somewhere too, plus 175 with the Cougs. The independent BYU Cougars go on the road to Baylor in the Big 12 melee against the Bears, and they'll do well. They'll cover at least that 5.5, and they might win outright. Now, how cool would it be if BYU would have beat Boise last week, still been undefeated, going to Baylor? This would be a nice win for them. They'd really be in the playoff picture if they were still undefeated, but they're not. So they're not totally out of it, but they need a lot of work. But if they were undefeated, this game would be even nicer right now, this BYU Baylor. But it's a good game off the radar. It's a very good game. But I like BYU. Moving along. Oh, here's the doozy of the weekend. Your game. Let's go.
We're talking Kentucky, Georgia.
Cats and dogs, baby.
Battle of the undefeated.
Yep. 6-0. The 6-0 Wildcats against the 6-0 Dogs of Georgia.
Georgia they're like a 20-point favorite, right?
21 and a half, brother.
It was close.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. I don't know. I would take Tucky.
And the reason I would back that up is basically we know Georgia's dominant defensively. They also have a pretty good offense, which gets overshadowed by that retarded defense Georgia has. This is ridiculous. But Kentucky's also good on defense. That's where they hang their hat as well also. So they're ready for a defensive battle. And they're stingy, Kentucky, too. They're stingy on defense. You can drive a little bit on them sometimes, but they're not going to fold up and let momentum blow on them. They'll blow back again. They push back against momentum, which I like on defensive type teams. Also, I noticed about Kentucky, their quarterback's getting better a little bit every week. It's his first real year as a starter. He's the transfer from Penn State. Will Levis is the quarterback. He's playing better every week a little bit. He looked good against LSU this past week. I think he might make a couple plays against Georgia. I like Georgia to win as usual, but I do see Kentucky hanging in there. I think you do too, like a 27-13 type of game.
I don't think Georgia would cover that.
Yeah. I mean, put it like this. If Kentucky can score a touchdown and get 10 or 13 points, you really need Georgia to get like 35 points just to beat you at that point. So, and Kentucky plays good defense. So, really, if Kentucky scores a touchdown, you're in pretty good shape for the cover. If you want to look at it like that. So, yeah, we'll go with the Cats, the scrappy Cats of Kentucky, covering against the Dogs, but not winning. I don't think they'll win. I mean, you never know. But the Dogs, I see the Dogs rolling, but not covering the 21.5. Oh man, Ant. Well, we'll get back to that game, but let's talk about our boys, Liberty. Liberty is on the road this week, but they have to cover a big line, but we're going to take it. We're going to take it, Ant. 33 at Louisiana Monroe. 33, but because we love liberty and freedom, we're going to take Liberty minus 33 against UL Monroe, which is a really bad Sun Belt team. And teams have put it on them. We're going to go, Liberty is going to win 55-10 over Louisiana Monroe and cover the 33. Not a problem.
That's ballsy.
You got to have balls for this, Ant. This ain't for...
Liberty isn't free, motherfucker.
That's right. That's right. And you got to have balls for this betting. A lot of times guys get, I can't bet on that team. They suck. You can't put money on the Jets. You can't put money on... Bro, you can put money on... If you feel something coming, don't psych yourself up because, this team is just bad. Play it. There's no team that you can just X out because they're a loser team. Like, and every week, somebody's always going to beat the spread. You know what I'm saying? The worst team of the worst, we beat the spread sometimes. So don't ever count nobody out like that. So I don't know why I just even said all that, but okay. But no, it's relevant to gambling.
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta bet with your fucking gut.
yeah, you can't be scared up because the team. I can't bet on the Jets. I'm just using the Jets.
Yeah.
I can't bet on the Jets this week. Really, I'm gonna bet on the Jets. Like, that's crazy. Like, they suck. But then, like, you can do that if you see it coming. Like, remember with the Titans game when they won? I seen that coming. Here we go. Another game I like. This is going to go into my roots. TCU on the road at Oklahoma. We're getting 13.5. We're taking TCU. Don't be like, oh, I can't bet against Oklahoma. They're good. And Oklahoma fucking they slapped me in my face last week with that comeback against Texas. Because Ed knows I was talking shit in the second quarter. Like, we up 28-7, bro. 28-7. I got this. I told you Texas was going to beat them. I was talking that. You should have heard me. I was talking that shit. Next thing I know, I'm like, wait a second. It's 41-33? Uh-oh. That's when you're like, uh-oh. And, Texas lost. But TCU always plays Oklahoma tough. They've beaten them when they've been undefeated before. They've beaten them on the road. They've beaten them in Norman. I like TCU in the 13.5. They're playing well. Duggan is a veteran quarterback, so he's not going to be caught up in the moment at Oklahoma. It's not going to be bother him. TCU plus 13.5, strong play for me there. I might even throw something on the plus 420. I am going to throw something on the plus 420. Forget may. I am going to do it. All right? So, yeah. TCU, and if you want to get you got a couple extra dollars, you throw a little money line. TCU plus 420, Mo.
Why not?
You like those numbers, right? You like that 420. Yeah. Oh, no, another nice game. Two teams I like this year, but I like one more than the other. Ole Miss, 2.5-point favorite at Tennessee. Ole Miss has been solid this year. They got the offense. I think they got a little lucky to beat Arkansas last week. Now they're going on the road to Tennessee. Tennessee is a team that is on the come up with Josh Heupel as the coach. I love Josh Heupel as a coach. I think he's one of the best around in college football. He was at Central Florida after Scott Frost. But I forget where he was before UCF. He did a good job. He did a great job at UCF. Now he's at Tennessee, and he's making a difference early in Tennessee. They have been really good the last couple of weeks with some big wins. I like them to win again this week against Ole Miss at home, getting 2.5. I'm taking the points. I'm taking the plus 120 money line, and I'm taking the Vols. All orange with the Masonic checkerboard in the end zone. Don't sleep on the Freemasons. Watch the Ole Miss Tennessee game. Look for the orange and white checkerboard in the end zone. Big shout out to my Freemasons out there. Take Tennessee at home in Knoxville. Plus 120. I like that game. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. 7:30. Iowa State at Kansas State. Iowa State laying 6.5. Like that's such a weird game because I think Iowa State. I think they'll win, but do I think they'll win by 6.5? I don't know. Kansas State's tough. They're no bullshit team. I mean, Kansas State could even win that game at home, so that's a weird game. I want to take Iowa State because I like them and I like Matt Campbell, but I'm just not secure in that. They're trying to give me the 6.5. They do that. The book, they take the 6.5. So you think if you win by 7, you win. But I'm not going to fall for that bait. I'm going to leave that game alone. Another weird game here, Stanford at Washington State. Washington State had a good win last week against Cal, getting one at home against Stanford. I don't know, but that's actually going to be a good game, but almost like a toss-up. Like, how do you know who's going to win? Okay, here we go. UCLA at Washington. Now, notoriously, Washington's starting to get better. They got a stir. They get good athletic players, good defensively. They've been over the last few years. Gary Peterson's gone though. I don't know who they've replaced him with. Not Gary Peterson. What's his name? Peterson, the coach from Boise. What's his name? Coach Peterson, we'll call him. He was a coach at Washington. He left. I'm not even sure who the new coach at Washington is. They got off to a slow start. They've been playing better of late. But UCLA is a team that I liked all season. And even though they did lose to Arizona State at home, That was a tough loss. And they had that crazy tough loss to Fresno State, also at home. But Fresno State's a good team with a really good quarterback. I'm going to take UCLA on the road at Washington, getting 1.5. You could take the plus 105. It's basically a pick'em game. I'm going with the Bruins and Chip Kelly to win on the road at UW in Seattle. That should be another good game. There's been good games this week. Air Force at Boise. That's another good game. Boise come after a couple tough losses for Boise. They bounced back with a win at BYU, and which kind of hurt BYU last week. Now they come back home for Air Force. The Air Force with that triple option coming into Boise. That's going to be a good football game, too. Boise's a 3.5-point favorite. Air Force plays good defense, too. I'm going to say take the under 51.5 in that game, I like. Boise and Air Force, under 51.5. It's a tough game to pick with the game. I want to take Boise. I'm a Boise fan, but I know how tough Air Force is. So I'm going to leave that game alone. I haven't seen Boise run the football good enough to pick them in that type of game yet this year. So I'm going to go under. I think Boise's an under team this year. So we'll go under 51.5. Then we got a serious matchup in the Pac-12 after dark on Saturday night. In a big game in the Pac-12 South, Arizona State and Herm Edwards. The Herm Edwards-led Arizona State Sun Devils head to Utah to play the Utes. Always a really tough place to play up in Utah. This is a tough game. But Utah, I like what I've seen from Arizona State this year. They look physical. They got a good quarterback. Utah's got a good quarterback. This is a tough game. It's almost like I want to just close my eyes. Is Jaden Daniels good enough to go and get a win at Utah? I'm going to say Utah wins by a field goal at home in a toughie, in a really good game. I'm going to go with the Utes, though. The Utes.
Those fucking Utes.
Yeah. The Utes at home squeak one out, but close, and they covered a 1-point spread. So that's it for college football. So you got the guys got the rundown there.
That was real. That was very, very, very extensive.
It was, right?
Very, very, very deep dive we just took.
I like to get wet.
All right. So what's the story with the NFL?
Let's pull up the standings real quick in the schedule. My phone, you know me. My phone died. What else is new? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, Mr.
Well, what about the last night's game?
Tom Terrific, baby.
Tommy Touchdown.
Yeah, Tommy Touchdown jumped out early and did threw a couple of touchdown passes, first 2 drives. He kind of got out the gate quick. It was 21-7 at the half. I was upset, though. The one thing that upset me about this game is that he threw a pick. It was off somebody's hands, intercepted, so I know he gets a pick on his record. But he's got 3 of the most, it's hard to just not throw interceptions. Like, if you're going to pass the football, you're going to somehow throw an interception. And Tom Brady is basically, this year, the crux of that. The guy's been perfect with the football, right? Like, he has not thrown, anything in really harm's way. But just playing football and throwing the ball, interceptions happen. He's thrown 3 picks this year. One of them was a Hail Mary at the end of the first half, that's the one play that you're just throwing the ball up in the air and seeing by luck if somebody catches it. So by luck, there's going to be interceptions on a Hail Mary. You got guys waiting in the end zone. It's like a glorified punt. So you try to catch a cheap touchdown, but you will get cheap interceptions. So he has one of those. He had the one last night that hit off, I forget whose hands. It batted off his hands, and then the guy dove and caught the interception. And then he has the screen pass to Fournette where Fournette's hands did the magic trick. They went invisible. His hands literally went invisible, and then the Dallas cornerbacks intercepted the screen pass because the ball just went through his hands like they just they were gone. And then,
I know that play.
Yeah.
I've seen that play many times.
So one of those, but yeah. But Fournette was running the ball well for them last night. The Eagles rallied. Their quarterback Jalen hurts so good. It hurts so good. He scored a couple of rushing touchdowns in the second half. They made a couple of plays. They cut it to 28-22. And then they couldn't get off. The Bucs got the ball back, and they couldn't get him off the field. Brady made a couple of nice throws to Antonio Brown. Nice run by Fournette, catch by Godwin, catch by Brate, and they ran the clock out. Eagles never got the ball back. The Tom being Tom. That's Tom. How many times I've seen Patriots Bucks in a tight game. Patriots got the lead. The other team scores. They're trying to get the ball back one last time. The Patriots are up by less than 7, and Brady just runs the clock out. Last 4 minutes. You don't even see the ball again. Yeah, that's all, and that's one of the hardest things to do for a quarterback. It's easier to make a comeback when you're behind and score that go-ahead touchdown. Trust me, I've done it. It's easier to do that than sit on a lead late. Like when you're that team, when you're up by 4 with the ball with 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left, and the other team's defense is trying to get a stop to get the ball back. The hardest thing to do is get those first downs and keep the clock running, keep the ball away, because you want to by nature be conservative and just run the ball or throw a low risk pass. So you have the mentality of not being aggressive, but you have to be aggressive. But not too aggressive. So you have to walk that fine line. And Brady did it again last night. Walk that fine line where, okay, we got the ball, we're up. You're trying to get the ball back. You're not getting it back. Sorry. Keep your helmet over there, Hurts. All right, so that game was good last night. Now we get into Sunday. Miami and Jacksonville. Do we really have to do this game? Oh, yeah, that's right. I have a cool epiphany for NFL this week. Okay, so London, 9:30, we got the Dolphins and the Jaguars live from London. I think the Jaguars are getting their first win of the season on Sunday. Yeah, I'm taking the money line in that game. I'm taking the points. It's not even, think about it. It's a neutral site game, and Miami's only a 2.5-point favorite over Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's 0-5. I don't know. Miami's, 2-3 or something like that? Maybe 1-4. I know they beat New England. Have they won another game since then? I don't know. They might have, might not. But Jacksonville, I think, is getting their first win. They look like they've been playing a little bit better. Miami's offense isn't good enough to take advantage of Jacksonville's shit defense. So they're not going to be able to take advantage of that weak defense. I think Jacksonville's offense is starting to come around. Trevor Lawrence is playing a little bit better every week. They had some pretty good receivers. The running back Robinson's starting to get it rolling. I see the Jags win their first game of the year in London. Urban Meyer and all his controversies, the way the media's been attacking him for with the things been going on with him. I think he gets off the schneid here, and I think the media can have a big shut the fuck up from Urban Meyer. He can calm them down a little bit this week. Hey, my first NFL win. Hold off the dogs. Take it easy. Exactly. Take it easy, you fucks. So yeah, the Jags win. Jags win. The Jags win. Oh, next game, Houston and the Colts. Interesting situation here. The Colts look like a team last week against Baltimore that was all of a sudden going to be 2-3, back in the division race, a game out. They got a big lead on the road Monday night in Baltimore. They end up blowing the game. They blew a call with the fumble with Lamar, which was a fumble. When Leonard punched it out, they didn't call a timeout, go for the replay. Then the kicker blew it. He got a field goal blocked. He shanked a field goal. You hate those games, those kicking games, where you lose in a kicking game. That's what happened to the Colts. T.Y. Hilton is coming back for the Colts. Carson Wentz did play well. But the Texans played well last week. Davis Mills had his breakthrough game in the NFL. He played well. He played really well, made some nice throws. A guy who I was pretty high on coming in the draft. He got picked in the 3rd round. I had him above Justin Fields on my top 100 NFL draft. Yeah, that's right. You're going to be like, what? Yeah, I had Davis Mills ahead of Justin Fields in my top 100 for the NFL draft 2021. So I'm pretty high on Davis Mills. He played well last week. I think he plays well again. I like Houston plus 10. By the half a point, 10.5. I think Houston covers, and I'm going to have them in 1 or 2 money line picks. I think they can beat the Colts too. Honestly, especially if Mills plays well or like almost as good as he did last week, if he stays on that pace, they have a chance to beat the Colts in Indy. That was one of those losses for the Colts where they fell to 1-4, and it's tough now at 1-4 to really believe in having any kind of season when you've been doubted already. So 1-4, I like Houston plus 10.5. Next, Green Bay, Chicago. I'm taking Green Bay minus 4.5. Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Fields. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers minus 4.5, and that's all I'm going to say about that game. That's it. Done. Minus 4.5, Green Bay. Done. Thank you very much. Next.
One of these 1 o'clock games. We got Kansas City and Washington.
Two flaky teams. Washington's so flaky this year. They're playing good, they're not playing that good, and it's like the defense is not. It was supposed to be really one of the best defenses in the league. They're not. They're giving up 30 points every game. I mean, I don't know. And Washington's offense is not good enough to carry to score 35 points. They're just not. They don't have enough talent. And they got Heineke, who hasn't been groomed as a top level quarterback, but he's playing his ass off. Tyler Heineke too. He's a scrapper. I like him. But can he run with Mahomes and the Chiefs, who are desperate, by the way? There's a desperate Chiefs team they're playing this week that needs a win. Their defense isn't that good. Washington can get some points. But the thing about this game, will Washington's defense step up with the talent on that team? Are they gonna, they're gonna be excited to play Mahomes? That might bring the best out of Washington's defense this week, which has talent, young talent, but they're gonna have to, they gotta stop giving up points. I heard all this blah, blah, blah about Chase Young last year. I didn't have Chase Young as high as everyone else did. The DN, I haven't seen much from him. They've been hyping him up as the next superstar, but where's he been this year, Chase Young? I haven't seen him anywhere. They got studs, all four, their front four defensive linemen are all first-round picks. Where's the defense at on this Washington team? Will they step up and play up to the competition against Kansas City? Can Washington take advantage? I don't know. This is a weird game. You're getting Kansas City's laying 5.5. The over-under is 54. I could see scoring in this game. It's a weird game. I'm going to close my eyes and take the over 54 in this game. That's what I'm going to go in that game. Minnesota, Carolina. Two teams that might be going in opposite directions right now. Minnesota squeaked out a win over the Lions, where they almost lost that game to the hapless Lions. To the getting better Lions, though. Even though they're 0-5, they're a team they played tough, pretty much tough every game. They scrapped and almost beat Minnesota last week, but Minnesota was able to pull it out, which gives them revival juice this week going to Carolina. Carolina started 3-0. They've lost 2 in a row. They got a tough defense. Minnesota's one of those teams where there's talent, but it's still shaky for some reason. Like, I don't know how much toughness is on that team or something is missing. They're weird. This is a weird game. I like Minnesota's players in this game more than Carolina, especially offensively, and especially without McCaffrey. But I like Carolina's coach more than I like Minnesota's coach in this game. So where do I go here? I got Carolina. I love Matt Rule. At home, can they weirdly beat Minnesota? Darnold, I'm not the biggest Darnold guy. I like Cousins more, but then he has his moments where he looks, Both teams have some decent receivers. They're both kind of similar teams, actually, if you kind of look at it. I'm going to go with Minnesota because I like Dalvin Cook in the running back game. So we're going to go with the Vikings because I think they have the edge in the running game. So I'm just going to go Vikings with the 1 point. Even in Carolina, I think they'll be able to lean on a running game better more than Carolina will. Although Chuba Hubbard did run the ball well against the Eagles. But I'm going to go with the Vikings and to go to 3-3 while Carolina falls to 3-3. Next, Chargers at Baltimore. I mean, I shouldn't put this on wax because I just hate the Ravens, and I'm going to bet the Chargers in that game. I just am. It just is what it is. Period. I'm betting the Chargers in that game. I'm gonna buy a half point, take them plus 3.5. I hate the Ravens are one team I hate. I'm not betting them. I'm betting the Chargers. If you like the Ravens out there, bet the Ravens. You know, this is a heart bet more than a thought bet. So I don't follow this bet, but I'm taking the Chargers over the Ravens. That was easy. The interesting game. This is one of my other interesting upset games. Cincinnati's going to Detroit to take on the Lions. The 0-5 Lions have played better than 0-5, but they're still 0-5. So you got to take it for what it is. Like Bill Parcells said, you are what you are, that record. Don't fool yourself. If you're 0-5, you're 0-5. He wasn't a fan of, but they're like the best 2-7 team in football. No, you're 2-7. That's it. There's no best 2-7 team in football. So Lions 0-5, but I think they might get their first win of the season this week at home against the Bengals. Bengals coming off that crazy overtime home loss to Green Bay, which is going to stick on them a little bit. Detroit had another heartbreaking loss on the road in Minnesota. Jared Goff's been playing well at quarterback. He's been playing well. He's been seeing the field well. He's throwing strikes. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. I just see the Lions getting the win at home. They've been playing better at home. We're going to take the 3.5, and we're going to take the Lions money line. I'm going to have an ill parlay where I'm going to have Jackson. Think about this, money line. All money line winners. Jacksonville, Houston, and the Lions, y'all. All to win this week. Getting off the schneid. Detroit, plus 3.5 at home with Dan Campbell, who we love as a head coach. The Terminator, Dan Campbell. The guy looks like a friggin' monster on the sideline. And he's a tough dude. That Lions team will be ready to play. They're going to win. Go with them. Rams, Giants. Rams 6.5 at the Giants. The Giants are all beat up. I'm not betting that game. Because I don't know. It's one of those games where, like, there's no reason to pick the Giants. Like, there's just no reason to pick them. They're beat up. They've been losing. There seems like there's a negativity around the team. The Rams have a positivity around their team. They're 4-1. They're expected to be big things. But why is the line only 6.5? You know what I'm saying? They're almost begging you to take the Rams 6.5 on the road so you can win by 7 and win. That's like a trap game to me. That game. Everything points take the fucking Rams and lay to 6.5. But I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to leave that game. Arizona, Cleveland. That's maybe the game of the week. The next game. Arizona is a 3-point dog at Cleveland. Interesting. No Chandler Jones. I know somebody else is out for the Cardinals. No Nick Chubb for Cleveland, but they still got Kareem Hunt. So it's interesting. Things are pointing to that. They're trying to point you towards Arizona getting their first loss this week on the road at Cleveland. Cleveland run the ball. I say no.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah. And I love Baker. I love Baker at Oklahoma. I'm a Baker fan. But this Kyler Murray, man, he's special, dog. I think he's right now better than Patrick Mahomes. Yes, put that on wax. Right now, Kyler Murray is better than Patrick Mahomes. And it's not a hate on thing. I love Mahomes. Y'all know I fucking love Mahomes. Kyler Murray's right now better than him. Like, the way we put Patrick Mahomes on this pedestal, you can't really even tell me right now he's better than Kyler Murray. You can't. Kyler's going to have a special game this Sunday against his rival Baker, the two Oklahoma quarterbacks who are good friends going at it in this one. Back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners at Oklahoma. Kyler will win or lose take the Cardinals, by a half a point, make it plus 3.5. They're not losing by more than a field goal if they even lose. I think they might win. So I'm taking Arizona and possibly to go 6-0 against Cleveland. And I like Cleveland, but I don't know. This Kyler is just playing special football right now. Like, he's ready to rise to this game, to the challenge this week against Cleveland. In the dog pound against Cleveland.
Let's go.
In the fucking dog pound. He's going,
I like that 4 o'clock game anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, son. Plus, any game at Cleveland with the dog pounds out there, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The dog pound with the dog pound right behind me. Kyler Murray is rolling with your bitch is where you might find he. Yeah, Arizona for the win. Now we got the game where the Raiders are going to their arch rival, the Broncos, on the road. A 4:25, a typical 4 o'clock special at Denver. The Raiders and the Broncos. No John Gruden this week, man. So you know what? I can't bet the Raiders this week. I seen Denver last week come back against Pittsburgh after the slow start. The Raiders will probably play inspired football, but I don't know. I don't know where they're at mentally. Derek Carr seemed to be contrite. I don't know. It was weird. I'm staying away from that game. We don't have to bet every game. Yeah, Raiders Broncos. I'm leaving that on the board. I don't know. 2.5 Denver at home. I don't know if the Raiders could come out and play unbelievably inspired football and just win that game. But I don't know. It's too much of a variable there. I'm gonna leave that game alone. We're gonna move to the primetime game, which you know is gonna be on Fox or CBS, 4:25. The Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? The old school America's team against the Patriots, the new school America's team. So you got both, to me, which is America's team, the Patriots, because they're the Patriots, so they're America's team, and they won 6 Super Bowls in the last 20 years. So they got to be kind of America's team against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. So it's the Battle of America here.
Very, very American.
Yeah, it's like fucking white American versus yellow American here. Cowboys minus, they love the bookie loves New England still. They still that Bill Belichick in there, that Belichick aura where the New England can win any week. They pulled it out against the Texans last week somehow, even though the Texans were looking good, Davis Mills was looking good. They still pulled that game out. That's kind of a big builder for New England coming into this week. Now, if Dallas is going to lose some games here and there, this is a good spot where Dallas could lose at New England. New England's capable. This is a tricky game. Dallas has been playing well. They struggled in the game against the Giants a little bit last week, some turnovers, and until the Giants just started getting more injuries and they just had a decimated team, and then Dallas kind of blew them out after that. But it was tough going in that game for a while. I could see tough going here. The over-under is 48, and it's Dallas -1. Like, you got to really... I like the Cowboys. I'm a Prescott fan. I've been rolling with them this year. I've been betting them. You know what? I'm going to continue to bet them. I just feel like they're just a step ahead here. I'll take the Cowboys -1 at New England. Just hope I have the better team. Running game. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game, though. I don't see in a blowout here. I feel like Dallas, if they're going to win, it's going to be close. And I'll go with the Cowboys reluctantly at New England. Then we got a game I like. We got the Seahawks at Pittsburgh. And the Seahawks are, what is that, -2.5? Wait, the Seahawks are favorite at Pittsburgh? Am I getting that correctly? Yeah. With Geno Smith at Pittsburgh?
Oh, shit. Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yo, Russell Wilson broke his hand. He's out for a few weeks.
And that's his backup. Wow.
Ginoja.
Geno.
Gino, come here, Gino. You got to make it a pizza in the back. You leave it at 2 pies, Gino. Anyways, I'm taking Pittsburgh at home against Gino. Okay? Big Ben, thoughts of prayers of Big Ben's demise are too early. We know y'all, Wokians and all y'all want Big Ben out of there. The networks, the agenda, they hate Big Ben. They've been talking about how he's washed up for 3. Fuck all of that. Big Ben ain't losing to Geno this week. If you're getting points with Big Ben, take the money line. Take Big Ben at home. He's not losing that game. Period. Big Ben. Fuck, man. Kidding me? Double up on Big Ben this week. It's disrespectful out here. Shit. Next game, the 8 o'clock game. Oh, it's a doozy, Ant. A doozy. We got the red hot Buffalo Bills with Bills Mafia's in the building on the home or on the road. They're going to Tennessee to take on the King, Derrick Henry, and the Titans on Sunday night. Yeah.
I like the Bills. I like the Bills in that one.
Yeah, me too. I think Julio Jones is going to be back for Tennessee.
New York's favorite team.
But Buffalo's playing good football both sides of the ball. The offensive line looks good. Everything's in sync. Josh Allen in the pocket looks great. Josh Allen running the football looks great. Josh Allen throwing the football looks great. Josh Allen scrambling and throwing the football looks great. The running backs look good. Singletary and Moss, two good young backs. They're running the football good. And that defense is turning you over. They're getting pass rush. They can cover the linebackers. I think Matt Milano's back this week for Buffalo. Also, their weak side linebacker. I also like the Bills this week. -3.5 at Tennessee to make another statement game for Buffalo on the road. They do good enough against Derrick Henry. Henry will still get his 100 yards plus and some plays, but Buffalo will get it done, laying 3.5 on the road in a TV game. Yeah, that's actually the Monday night game, Brody. The Sunday night game was Geno against Big Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going Big Ben. We're going Buffalo, and that's a cap on it. Oh, I kind of like the games this week, bro. We're going to do well.
Yeah, the Jets are playing the Patriots.
No, the Jets are on a bye. That's next week.
Oh, that's next week. We're already looking at the next one?
No, no. We were on our schedule. They cuts off here, right there. Then the Thursday night game is Broncos-Cleveland. So we're going to go, yeah, we're done. That's next week. That's Jets-New England's next week. But yeah.
Yo, we're at the halfway point, basically, almost.
Well, actually, one thing I to tell you, now, not yet. They increased the games to 17 this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we're only getting to the 6th game of the season. So we're at the 1/3, but we're at the 1/3 cross pole, which we're getting there. Things are moving along. Things are moving, definitely moving along.
Good football going on.
So,
Especially in the NFL.
yeah. Yeah, so a couple games to key on. You want to watch the top games. You got Buffalo, Tennessee, which is the Monday night game. You got the Arizona versus Cleveland game, which is another top-level game. You got the Chargers in Baltimore. That's another Battle of the Titans type game. And don't sleep on Green Bay, Chicago. As much as the sports media and the Stephen A. Smiths, who's trying to fire certain coaches for certain reasons, we know, has been attacking Matt Nagy, because Matt Nagy is the worst coach in the world, that ever has been in NFL history. The Bears are 3-2. Not bad for a team that got the worst coach in NFL history, according to the football media, Matt Nagy. I mean, because you can't criticize Justin Fields, his quarterback. And people who know you can't criticize Justin Fields. So it's got to be Matt Nagy, and if they have a rough game, because Justin Fields, don't even say a word about Justin Fields. So. Yeah, Matt Nagy's the worst coach ever, but the Bears are 3-2. So that's a decent game against Green Bay. And the games, I think, in Chicago at home. So, that's a game that, if somehow the Bears win, they're both 4-2, top the division. And then you got the matchups of some two bad teams, like the Texans and the Colts and the Jaguars and the Dolphins, another battle of Florida there. And, away we go. So there's some good ones this week,
So keep an eye on the prize, man. Let's get with this playoffs in baseball,
Yeah, I'm hyped. It's going to be a good weekend again. We got NFL, baseball playoffs.
Hockey's back.
So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
I love hockey.
Hockey's back. NBA's right around the corner. College football, another big weekend in college football. The Navarrete fight in a few minutes. I got to charge my phone. Check that out. And, there we are. Another great podcast. And if I go over 700, if I go over 70% winning percentage, y'all owe me 10% if you take my bets. All right?